as well. So I'm going to start by saying a few words about you, Arielle. I'm really honoured to have you here with me today. And what I love to do at Inspired is just talk a little bit about what it is that I know about you and what's inspired me about you. So first of all, obviously, one of my first introductions to you was your Soulmate Secret stuff. So I'd read your book, and and I know you've written 11, which have gone all over the world, and read or listened to some of your seminars. And then I had the good fortune of meeting you and your lovely soulmate, Brian, I think we first met in Hawaii back in 2011. And so... Huh?
I can't believe it was that long ago that we first met.
I know, amazing, right? And I think just what struck me the most is not only are your books like full of incredible content, but just, you know, you're the real deal. There are a lot of people out there that talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. Whereas you and Brian are just like love personified through and through. And it's just been such an honor to get to know you and, you know, spend time with you and obviously learn from the incredible example that you lead with in the world. So thank you for joining me this evening.
Thank you.
And I'd like to start with the question that we ask everyone at Inspired Stage is, we say 10 minutes, but we'll start with this as a frame. If you had that piece of wisdom that you wanted to share with the world right now, what would you say?
You know, right now is the craziest time ever on earth. Many of us are in total lockdown because of the coronavirus. Yeah. And so for me, I think the most important thing to know is how to be with not knowing.
Nice. Okay.
Right now we're in a time of massive uncertainty. We don't know anything. And actually nobody seems to know anything. There's just, you know, experts spouting all kinds of projections, but there's no facts. Mm-hmm. So if there was ever a time to try and maintain some sense of balance and centeredness, it's right now. Mm-hmm. And to do that, we have to have faith. Yeah. So for your fans out there that are listening who consider themselves spiritual people, the most spiritual thing you can do for yourself in the world is to have faith. To have faith and trust that this too shall pass, that there's some meaning behind everything that at this moment we don't know, and that we have to manage our monkey minds to be with not knowing, because we don't know and we can't know, and it's scary as hell not to know. So what I've been doing a lot of is remembering some of my favorite classic spiritual lines. And my most favorite one is from A Course in Miracles. And in A Course in Miracles, it says, in this moment, I have everything that I need.
Lovely.
In this moment, I have everything that I need. And for you and I, this is true. We have a safe place to sit. We have clean water to drink. We have fresh air to breathe. We have friends and family who love us and care for us and care back. So it is true that in this moment, I have everything that I need. And where I and others get into trouble is when we allow ourselves to get into the what if. Well, what if this and what if that? And that can send your entire system into total breakdown and chaos. You know, I know you're familiar with the work of Heart Math, the Institute of Heart Math.
Yeah.
And what they've proven is that when we're having thoughts of anger or anxiety or fear, we suppress our immune system for up to 8 hours at a time.
Wow.
So if you allow yourself to indulge in fearful thinking, you're actually heightening your chances of getting sick because you're suppressing your immune system. So it requires that we all rise up and become mature adults and manage our emotions, manage our thoughts and our beliefs. Now, this isn't to say we're going to be Pollyannas and we're going to stick our head in the sand. No, we're going to deal with reality. And the reality in this moment is that we are in a global nightmare and there are no real answers. And we are strong and we're courageous and we're going to get through this. And we don't know what the outcome will be. You know, we're afraid we're going to get sick. We're afraid our loved ones are going to die. We're afraid that our retirement accounts have just gone up in smoke and that we're not going to have enough money. We won't have a job. And it's also true that in this moment, we have everything that we need. Mm-hmm. So it's a dichotomy. You know, on the one hand, we know that the universe has our back. And in this moment, we have everything that we need. And then on the other hand, who knows? Are we going to run out of food? Are we going to run out of toilet paper? Is the money never going to come again? And so we're just going to have to be able to self-soothe and bring ourselves back to balance. And then when we can get ourselves back to balance, then share that gift with others, which is exactly what you're doing.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to just pick up on some of the things that you said there. I know you had some great tips in your book about, you know, because it's human, maybe we all have those moments of fear. We all have those moments where we go in and we think, I don't know how to deal with this. So can you tell us a little bit about how you would deal with that?
Well, my immediate go-to thing for dealing with fear, anger, or anxiety is to do EFT tapping.
Okay.
And you can go onto YouTube and just put EFT tapping videos, and dozens of them will come up for free. You know, it's super easy to do. You'll follow along with somebody. I'm not going to try and teach it to you. It's just super easy. Go to YouTube, EFT tapping videos, and if you want to be specific, tapping for fear, tapping for anger, tapping for anxiety, tapping for, you know, broken heart, whatever it is that you're suffering from, go do the tapping. That's my go-to.
Wonderful. So let's go to, I know a lot of people follow you around the love subject, and you've helped so many around the world actually find that soulmate love that they want to. What would you say to those that are looking right now? When you're in the comfort of your own home, what do you do?
Well, it's, I have a free 75-minute webinar for single women, and it's at soulmatepassion44.com, soulmatepassion44.com. So if you have the time, take 75 minutes and listen to that. But what I will say is that if you're single, this is probably a really great time to start dating online. And what's great about it is that even though you can't go out and meet for a coffee date, or you can't even go to the park to go for a walk together, you can get on Skype or Zoom and have this really visceral connection with somebody that's totally safe. Because if you don't like them, you can click off, but you can really take this time to ask meaningful questions. I know so many people tend to go online, they start dating, and the first several days are all about texting. And that is the biggest mistake you can make. The purpose of texting in the early stages of dating, there's only one purpose. And that is, if you're about to meet them somewhere and you're looking for parking, you text, running 5 minutes late, looking for parking. Other than that, do not waste one moment of your precious life texting. And here's why. Texts are no way to get to know somebody, because they can be misinterpreted, and somebody can be the most charming, flirting, fun person in the world texting, and then you meet them in person and you know instantly, oh my God, this is so wrong. This is why getting on the phone, or even better, getting online through a video chat or FaceTime is the perfect way to meet somebody, because you can hear them and you can see them and you can see their body language, and you can really ask important questions to start to get to know them.
Lovely. And I know a lot of us are, well, you might be with your partner right now in quarantine, and you may not be used to that sort of quality time with your partner. And, you know, coming from your book, Wabi Sabi Love, which is about loving the imperfection, which I loved as well. Maybe you can share some tips on how to survive that period, because for some people that's...
Yeah, no, it's being locked up with somebody 24/7 is definitely going to cause friction with a lot of people. So I just want to say that I do have this amazing new course. I don't think you even know about it. If you go to dailyom.com/soulmate, it's a 21-day course on everything you need to know for great communication to be a happy couple. And it's only $35. And it's everything I know, because it's all the best stuff from Wabi Sabi Love and Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate. But let me give you some of these tips right now. So first thing you want to do is, if you're having a tip with somebody, take a time out. Just go to another room. Just say, you know what? I know you don't want to fight with me, and I don't want to fight with you. I need a little time out. Let me have a half hour and we can revisit this later. And then go take a half hour to get yourself back to neutral, whatever that is for you. If you can go take a walk around the block or get on your treadmill, great. If you can take an aromatherapy bath, great. If you can do some tapping, you can go online and tap for a video on fighting with my partner, or whatever it is, meditate, do a guided visualization through an app. Get yourself back to neutral. And then once you're in neutral, ask yourself, you know, how did I contribute to this fight? You know, and is this really important to me right now? And one of the fun things I like to do is, I don't know if you have the show Law and Order on in the UK, but it's a legal show, you know, so there's prosecutors and there's defense attorneys, okay? So imagine that you are the defense attorney for your spouse. And you have to go into a court of law to explain to the judge and the jury why they just behaved the way they did.
Wow.
If you take that point of view, chances are it's going to shift for you. You know, maybe they're just angry and frustrated because they haven't done their 2 hours of usual aerobics and they just needed to let off steam. Who knows? Make up a story. And the story doesn't even have to be true. Just take the position that you're their defense attorney. You know, that's one thing to do. The other thing to do before you get to the point where you're irritating each other is start to look for all the things they're doing right. One of the things I like to recommend is that you put on your rose-colored glasses.
You actually have some. I love it.
Put them on all the time because Brian isn't perfect and neither am I. So you want to put on rose-colored glasses and you want to start looking for all the things they're doing right. You know, maybe they've decided to reorganize the pantry or whatever it is. You know, make sure you give them a really big acknowledgement. Or maybe they just, you know, finished a project which they didn't really want to do, but they had to do. Or they made a phone call to an elderly relative that they really didn't want to make. It could be the littlest thing. Whatever they're doing right, compliment them, acknowledge them. You know, even if it's something as simple as like, you know, you haven't changed those pajamas in 24 hours, but I still think you're the sexiest man alive. Just look for ways to build bridges.
Lovely. All right. And then just going back to like the core of your work, you know, you've done so many amazing things with your life and to help others. What would you like to be remembered for? What would you like your legend to be?
I actually don't want to have a legend. I'm one of these people. I have no interest in legacy. And I've already told Brian that when I die, I don't even want a funeral or a celebration of life or an obituary. I'm here now. Let's have fun now. And when I'm gone, I'm gone. You know, so every 5 years, I throw myself a really big party. Lovely. Because I don't want people to come and say nice things about me after I'm dead. I want to just spend the money now and have fun with you now. And when I'm gone, I'm gone.
Fair enough. Love that perspective. if you had a few words, so when we get out of our housebound stuff, what is it that you'd most be looking forward to, and what is it? There's a two-part question really. What would you most hope people take forward from this time?
Well, for me personally, I'd like to go to a tropical beach on a holiday and go snorkeling in crystal clear, warm water and enjoy the sunshine and go for lots of walks and hikes and really just appreciate Mother Nature in all her glory. That would sort of be my dream focus. Hopefully some point this summer, that would be fun to do. And, I think the lesson in this for most of us is a chance to practice what we preach. We've been distracted for a long time. We have lots of things. We have the internet, and we've got Netflix, and we've got smartphones, and right now what we need to do is really like dive deep into our own soul and really say, can I just be still? Can I just be with what is? Can I just practice being with not knowing? And beyond that, I don't know what else there is. I'm not much of a planner. I don't really think about the future much. So these days I'm thinking about life mostly in 5-minute segments. Like, what would I most like to do for the next 5 minutes? Or what would be beneficial for me to do for the next 5 or 10 or 20 minutes? So I'm finding myself doing a lot of guided meditations that people my email box is filled with them. So I'm trying them out. People whose work I've never sampled before. Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes it's not so good. I'm also, I have one friend and we are on Skype chat a lot. And so our agreement is to find funny videos to share with each other, that are not politically connected, like cat videos. So we've been doing that. But other than that, I'm just going to get through the day, try to have as much fun as I can, and, collectively hope that we get through this in one piece.
I was fascinated by what you said about the 5-minute chunks, and you think about how would you like to feel for the next 5 minutes, what would you like to do for the next 5 minutes. Have you always lived your life like that, and if not, how has that changed your life?
Well, I first started doing this in my early 20s when I was suffering from severe depression, and I read some book that suggested that as a way to literally survive. Like, could I survive 5 more minutes? And what would I need to do to make it 5 more minutes? And it worked. It really, it was helpful just to be able to live my life in baby steps. And a couple of years, I'd forgotten about it for years. And then a few years ago, I don't know, something triggered a mild depression. I hadn't been depressed in a long time. And it came back to me, and it was like, oh yes, I don't have to figure out the rest of my life, or I don't have to figure out the big solution to things I can't control. But what I am capable of doing is, what do the next 5 minutes look like? I can do 5 minutes. And for me, that's been really helpful.
Lovely. Now, as we've talked about before, you have a wealth of soulmate stories around the world from people that have met and have been inspired by your work. Do you have a favorite soulmate story to share with us today?
I do, and it's the story of Brian's mother, my mother-in-law, who had been married for 55 years, and then she was a widow for 5 years, and she got a dog, this really cute, fluffy white dog named Noodles. And Noodles was cute, except he would hump any person that walked past. He was really a crazy dog. Anyway, my mother-in-law's name was Peggy, and she called me up one day, and she really took me by surprise. She said to me, "I'm ready for another relationship." And I said to her, "But Peggy, you're 80. And she said, "Does that matter?" And I said, "Well, maybe not. I guess not." She said, "Okay, well, give me the crash course on how to manifest a soulmate." So I did. I gave her, like a 20-minute crash course on the phone, never really thinking anything would happen. And then about a week later, she called me and she said, I have a date for lunch tomorrow. And it's like, you do? How did that happen? And she said, well, my friend Connie. And I said, oh, yeah, Connie, your realtor. She's about my age, right? And she said, yeah. She said, well, Connie came over last night and she brought her laptop and she took me to this place on the World Wide Web called Match.com. Exact words. Have you ever heard of it? And I said, yes, I've heard of Match. And she said, well, we went on there and there were 3 men in my category, in my neighborhood, in the over 80 category. And one of them was a retired lawyer, like my dear departed Wayne. So Connie sent him some kind of a message with my phone number. And he called this morning. His name is John. And we talked for 3 hours. And tomorrow we're meeting for lunch. I said, oh, that's fantastic. And so I said, well, call me as soon as you get home because I want to hear all about your lunch date. So they were meeting for an early lunch, like 11 a.m. And, so 1 o'clock, I started thinking, well, she should be home. She should call me. 1 o'clock, no call. 2 o'clock, no call. 3 o'clock, no call. Now I'm getting worried and I'm calling and there's no answer. Of course, she didn't have a cell phone. This was quite a while ago. And I said to Brian, I said, I'm really worried about your mom. She had a lunch date at 11 and now it's almost 4. And anyway, the phone finally rang and it was Peggy. And I said, I was worried. Are you okay? Oh, yes, we had the greatest time. We were together for 4+ hours. And he's asked me out for Friday night. I said, oh, how wonderful. Where is he taking you? Oh, we're going to Bible study class. That's like, Bible study? Peggy, you haven't been to church in 40 years. She said, I know, but I think this is a little bit different. I said, well, what do you mean? She said, well, at Bible study, we're going to be talking about Marianne Williamson's book, A Return to Love. And I said, oh, geez, I hope Marianne never finds out they call that Bible study. She said to me, well, he's an elder in this church. And I think it's your kind of church, it's not a real, Christian-based kind of thing. I think they're kind of free thinking like you and Brian are. I said, great. Well, anyway, things just took off with her and John, like quickly. Oh. And they were dating all the time. And then they went on a trip to Australia together to go on this big cruise. And then they came, that was my cat knocking things over.
Yoda in the background.
And then Peggy called one day and she sounded really upset. And I said, Peggy, what's the matter? She said, well, I just don't know what to do. I said, well, what's the matter? She said, John proposed.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
What's the problem? She said, I'm going to die, Mrs. Wayne Hilliard. I don't want to get married again. Oh. I said, well, what did you tell him? Well, she said to me, I told him I'd be willing to shack up with him. And I said, well, what did he say? And he said, absolutely not. That what would church ladies say if they knew he was shacking up? And I said, well, let me get Brian for you. I said, I'm not sure I can help you with this problem. So, they talked for a long time. And while they were talking, Marianne Williamson called me because Marianne and I have been friends since the mid-'80s. Yeah. And I told Marianne about Peggy's problem. And Marianne's response was, oh, honey, don't worry about it. You call her back and you tell her, I'm going to come to Portland, Oregon, and I'm going to perform a spiritual wedding for them so that the church ladies won't be upset, but there won't be any legal documents. And I was like, oh, that is the perfect solution.
Beautiful.
Right? So I called Peggy back and I told her what Marianne offered to do, and she told John, and they were thrilled. And the next day, both of them listed their houses for sale. Then they went and they bought a little home on the grounds of an assisted living facility. So they had everything they needed there but their own little cottage. And then Marianne, of course, never showed up to do the wedding. But by that time, it didn't matter because they had figured out yes, we want to spend the rest of our lives together. We'll keep our money separate, but we'll live together. And for the next 5 years, they were, two peas in a pod. They were totally happy. And then John died of congestive heart failure, and a year later, Peggy died of cancer. And that's what happened.
Well, that's beautiful. Love at any age. It doesn't have to be a barrier, does it? It's so lovely. Now, I've been noticing we've had a few people watching. I'm just going to ask to our people watching, if you've got any questions for Arielle at this stage, please post your questions and we'd be more than happy to ask. At the moment, we're just getting a lot of love hearts. So we love the love hearts. One essential truth after another, says MP Grant. I know they're true as I live each and every one with my now wife Marie. I know they're a beautiful couple, actually. Sending lots of love to both of you. So yeah, if you've got any questions, you can post them. At the moment, I'm going to just ask you, what's next? I mean, you've written 11 books.
Well, I've just written a novel, and I'm very excited about it. Yeah, it took me a year, but I just wrote it, and now I'm working on getting a fiction agent, because even though I know the nonfiction book world very well, in fact, I was a nonfiction literary agent for many years, the fiction world is totally foreign to me. It's a totally different world. So I have several agents reading, and then once the book gets sold, then I'm going to work on having it turned into a film. So I have 2 very, very big, fun projects on my plate.
Lovely. And is the fiction nearly written? Is it
done? It's totally done.
So we can look, well, are you allowed to say when can we look forward to that, or do we not know?
Because I have to get the agent who then has to sell it. So it will be more than a year before it's available. I just don't know when yet.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see. And let's say, I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions. Again, we've just got a lot of people giving us love hearts, so that is awesome. So have you got any, final thoughts for people out there that are watching that you'd like to share with us right now?
The thing that I think about a lot is how important it is to find your soulmate. And here's why. There's a lot of, I'll just call them bullshit ideas out there that are telling people that until you love yourself, you can't have, somebody else won't love you. And that is absolutely not true. Here's what's true. All of us have a critical choir that lives in our head that tells us we're not good enough. Some people, it's worse than others. But the truth is, there's never going to come a day when you're madly in love with yourself 24/7. So for the people who are sitting back thinking, until I love myself enough, I can't have love, that's just an excuse not to have love. Because the fastest way to love yourself more is when you're with your soulmate and you look into their eyes and you see how much they love you. And that is the most healing thing you can do for yourself. So by living in this thing, I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too damaged, all the good ones are taken, the one that was got away, I live in the wrong city. None of that is true. Not one bit of it. So you need to be willing to open yourself up and become visible and become a dating warrior. And even if you're afraid, do it anyway and get visible so your soulmate can find you. Because just as you may have this burning desire to have love in your life, there's somebody out there looking for you, but they can't find you if you don't allow yourself to be visible.
Okay. And how do you turn off those voices? Because we all have them,
Turn them off. So here's what you do. You manage them. Okay. So, and I have them all the time, and you just say, okay, thank you for sharing. Now get out of here, and then go to a mirror and blow yourself a kiss and tell yourself something really wonderful that's true, but it's always going to be there. Oh, I really blew that. I could have done a better job. Oh, I look really bad today. You wouldn't let your child beat themselves up Why do you allow yourself to beat yourself up? So this is about emotional management, so when you're having a negative thought, don't deny it. It's like, oh, yes, there you are. Okay, thanks for sharing. Now goodbye. Or what I always do is I say, cancel, cancel. I just don't allow myself to indulge and to spiral down.
That's beautiful. And then I guess the final story that I wanted you to end with, and I know you've told this many, many times, but a lot of our viewers out there haven't heard it. So could you share with us how you manifested and met your soulmate, Brian?
Yes. So one day when I was 43 years old, I woke up really early in the morning, and I hadn't even opened my eyes yet, but I was feeling around the bed trying to find my 25-pound cat, and he wasn't there. But what I noticed was this big expanse of empty bed. And I suddenly had this thought, which was, hey, I forgot to get married. I started thinking, how did I get to be 43 and never married? And I realized I had spent all of my time on building my business and my career, all of it. And when I looked to see, well, how did I do that? I realized that I had turned into this master manifester. So I made a list of all the prayers and processes and rituals that I used to manifest my condo and my sports car and my great business and all my travel and all my friends. And I decided to apply it to manifesting a soulmate. So everything that I did, and we don't have hours and hours for me to detail it here, but it's all in the book, The Soulmate Secret. And then I also have a 12-week online course, which goes into even more greater depth because it tells you how to do online dating and everything else. So the magical part of the story is that we met at a business meeting. And the moment we met, I knew and he knew and everybody that was in the room with us knew. 3 weeks after we met, we got engaged. And a year later, we had 3 weddings. And that was 22 years ago.
Beautiful. And you are still one of the most inspirational couples that I know, because it's so lovely to see, people that really live it and, just really still adore each other. So.
Well, it helped that we were both in our 40s when we got married, because we were both mature enough and had both had enough relationships that didn't work that we really understood that it was going to take work to make it work. We are still willing to do that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm in my 40s now. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not everyone knows that. But so you do now, I guess. And, I think that's so reassuring for a lot of us that are, have reached this age and think, well, as we had with the story with Peggy, love can really happen at any age and at any time.
I would say of all the students that I have, the ones that are most successful are over 40.
Wow.
Because they have a lot of clarity about what their values are and what they're looking for in a partner. And they no longer have the expectation that one human being is going to fulfill every single want and need. And they don't need that, because they come in, what they bring to the marriage is all this self-awareness and self-confidence and success in life. So what they're looking for is someone who can be a true emotional partner to share their life with. So I'm a big fan of waiting to get married. I don't think, unless you're trying to have 5 kids, I don't know that there's a big advantage to doing it, in your 20s.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm just going to have a quick scroll to see if there's any final questions. Oh, there's just full of lovely comments here. Just what I needed to hear right now. Absolutely perfect. 91 traits with a no messing shopping list was one suggestion on that soulmate wish list. And just a lot of love coming our way, really. So thank you all for tuning in. Now, how do these wonderful people get in touch with you? Because I know...
Huh? My website is soulmatesecret.com. soulmatesecret.com, soulmatesecret.com, and there's a tab on there called Free Stuff. So just, hunt around the website. I'm also easy to find on Facebook, facebook.com/soulmatesecret.
Yeah.
So I'm probably the easiest person in the world to find. And I just want everybody to know that people always say, well, do we only get one soulmate in a lifetime? No, you can have as many as you want. All right. There's 7.4 billion people alive on the planet. Half of them are single. There are no shortage of potential soulmates.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for joining me this evening and this afternoon in California. It's been such a joy to connect with you again, and I hope to see you back in California very soon.
Expecting you to come visit. Thank you, Shay. I appreciate the time.
You stay safe, and lots of love to you and Bri as well. Take care.